Hello and welcome to another edition of Inside the Burrow, the FAU podcast for and by fans. My name is Dan, known as FAU for show. I'm here, as I always am, with Aaron and Jack. Say hello, gentlemen.
Hello.
What's up, guys? I'm Jack.
So tonight we're going to talk a little bit about Miami. There's a couple of things that we want to dig into with Miami. One of them is going to be the biggest. A big impact in the game, not just on the field, but the impact it had in the community. And we're actually going to have a guest on with us in just a little bit for that. We're going to dig into the actual, football in Miami, the game, talk about the QB play, and then we'll do a little bit of a preview for Buffalo. So I guess to kind of get started, the one of the biggest impact, and I'm not sure if everybody knows this, but the biggest impact of the game, I think, is the $7 million in donations. The president brought in some big donors and some newer donors, I think. Christine Lynn donated, I think, $1 million. But the $7 million is going to go towards the new student center, which is pretty awesome. So that's really to me is one of the biggest things. We'll talk more about the community in a little bit, but when I got onto campus, even in the morning, there was this energy on campus. You could really you could feel there was excitement, even just the other staff members. It was a lot of fun. You could tell the students got out there before the official tailgate started at 4. I think they were out there at 2. Jack can tell us a little more about that. But it was exciting. I mean, it was a good day.
The tailgating started at 4. That's news to us. I mean, we didn't care. So I mean, the new Rat's Mouth over there was awesome. It was a good time. The Owl Walk a few hours before the game was absolutely insane. I mean, students were 3 to 4 deep outside the barricades. There were air horns. There was music. There was so much noise. Just everything you'd expect a real college football game to have was there. And, several times during the few hours of tailgating, you just had to stop and look at everything that was going on, of the thousands of students there tailgating, the smells, all the senses, everything you could hear, everything you can see, this whole sea of red that was there in the Rat's Mouth. It really was a sight to behold.
That was I didn't get a chance to check out the Owl Walk, but I saw some videos. I saw some people had done some Instagramming. If you get a chance, go, if you have Instagram or you have Twitter, search #FAU, and you'll kind of see the scene there. And that was pretty cool. I think that's something that showed a lot about the university and a lot about the potential.
It was completely wild. I've never seen anything like it. I mean, I'm shocked that the barricades actually didn't fall over, because how deep the students went and how nuts they were going for the Owl Walk. It really was something.
Yeah.
From my experience there at the game, being a family man, being a alumni, it was very much like a bowl game type atmosphere. You had the parking lots filled. Obviously, our experience was we got off of work, we came home, we changed, we loaded up the car, got down there. We wanted to leave a little bit earlier, but couldn't. We got caught in the traffic, but that was expected. Unlike some of the Miami fans who didn't buy their parking passes, they were just going to pay the parking when they came on in. We breezed right past, the line, waiting to pay for park. We went to the orange lot, set up, we tailgated. It was fun. You could, you had music from all over the parking lots blasting. You had different people tailgating. It was a really great experience. We got out. Once we were done tailgating, we went out, saw Owsley. If you guys see me on Twitter, I hashtagged it. Me and the son got our pictures taken with Owsley.
It's a great moment.
Yeah, where the old Rat's Mouth was, and that was just basically filled with like carnival games, a family type like atmosphere. They had different tent set up for different businesses. They had, I guess you could call it a two-person band, different people. It was very much so. We got into the stadium early. We found our brand new seats right next to the tunnel entrance for the visitors, and we just enjoyed the game. The bowl-like atmosphere. It was very nice seeing the stadium basically filled.
I think that's also when I have a question for Jack in a second, but I think that was one of the there was a couple of people on the board that had some bad experiences with parking and with some security issues, but I think overall it was a good outing for the stadium. It was a good outing for the tens of thousands of people that they were there for the first time. I think there weren't a lot of major problems. But my question for Jack is, how did the new student section go? And where the Rat's Mouth was? Did that work out? Okay?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think we all would have appreciated the old Rat's Mouth. It's one of the very few traditions we have on campus, and we're kind of ashamed or kind of sad to see it go. That being said, the tailgate for this game, it was going to be awesome no matter where it was. It could have been in General South. We wouldn't care. It would have been insane. So that definitely was the case. New student section, whatever. I mean, I kind of like being in our own little island right next to the band. You don't have like visiting fans like walking in between trying to start some crap.
Yeah.
But besides that, it was good. It's exactly what you would expect at a large college football game. A lot of students had their very first major college football game. So they don't even know what to do. Didn't even know like when to cheer, when not to cheer. And that comes with a learning curve. So hopefully these same students stay on board, and throughout the season they'll learn what to do. But I mean, so yeah. Besides that little thing, I mean, everything was great.
I think it was, and it really sucks that we had the lightning delay, because that just killed any type of momentum. But fortunately, I was actually really surprised the amount of students that stayed after the lightning delay. I mean, the student section was pretty darn full for most of the, especially in the beginning and through the first half. And then once, it was 2:30 in the morning and the third quarter was starting again, there were some people that left. But, so I think overall the impact of the game, even though and we'll talk about the actual playing of the game, it was a win-win. I saw there's an article written, I think it was by Underdog Dynasty, that they said no matter the outcome, this was a win for FAU. We got people into the stadium that had never been there before. We had to make a killing on alcohol and food because of the break. We made a killing with parking, sold out stadium. So those type of parts, those things that come with college football, we've never really been able to have those. And I think that was something that was pretty cool. So tonight we've got a special guest with us on. We've got Mark from It's Owl Time, and we kind of wanted to, since we're talking about the impact the game had on not just the football part, but the community part, the student body part, kind of all aspects of how important this game was. We thought it'd be kind of cool to have somebody who was really affected and impacted on this. So we have Mark from It's Owl Time here, and Mark, so how did the Miami game, we know it had a big impact, but how did the Miami game and leading up to it have an impact on your store?
Well, I'd like to say hello to Owl Nation out there, but yeah, the Miami game was just a huge impact for us for a lot of reasons, and leading all the way up, a couple weeks in advance, you could just see things were building, and then of course the day before the game, which was a Thursday, which is an odd day, was we had a record-breaking day on it, not for a Thursday, but a record-breaking day for the store on Thursday, and then leading into Friday, we broke that record. So last year, I think it was Parents Weekend, we had our best day ever, and then it took us about a year to break that record, and now this year we broke that record in one day. So that was, you could just tell the excitement was building, and all the people that were coming in. I mean, it was just tremendous. The lines were out the door. The West Palm Beach news crew was in there filming, and it just had a major impact for us. It was great.
So that was I was watching. I saw one of the news things. They said that you did, or you said that you did in one day. You did 1 month's worth of sales, or May, or something like that.
Yeah, and on Thursday we did a lot more than we did in the month of May, and then on Friday we did more than we did in June. So now, keep in mind those months are the slower months, but still, it's just it's an amazing thing. It's nicer to work 2 days instead of 2 months for that.
Yeah, and it's kind of cool to see that many people interested. You know, a lot of times when you see somebody wearing an FEU T-shirt, especially outside of Boca, it's like, oh, hey, look at that guy. So it's kind of cool to know that there's that many people that are interested. So
it was great. Yep.
This is some a lot of us know the story about It's Owl Time, but how did It's Owl Time come about?
Well, it's kind of funny. I had a career at a Fortune 500 company, and so I was doing that, and then I had the idea for It's Owl Time for years and years, but I knew that the fan base wasn't quite ready for it, but I had the idea, I had it planned, and I became friends with actually the former basketball coach, Coach Jarvis, and he called me one day and he said, Mark, what can we do to get some money into this program or whatever? And I said, well, I told him about my idea about It's Owl Time. I said, I don't know how we could tie that in to do some things. Maybe we could, if I start a business and we could do some fundraisers or things like that, maybe that will help both of us. And he said, I would be willing to support that. So I knew that I had a Division I basketball coach on my side. I thought that was probably a pretty good time to go ahead and try it. And so I did the website. It was kind of more of a hobby at first, still doing my job and everything. And that's kind of how it kicked off. And then I was fortunate enough to retire early from the Fortune 500 company, and that allowed me to then take it to the next level and open It's Owl Time, the store.
That's pretty awesome. That's pretty awesome. I remember one of the first things, I think the first thing I bought was a bottle of Coke, like from the inaugural season. I bought a Coke, which was kind of cool. So I know a lot of us appreciate everything there. What's new in the store?
Well, we got a few things new. We're always getting new things constantly. Every week I try to just come up with something new and get new things because, if somebody comes in 4 times and it's the same stuff every time, they know what I have. So it's always evolving. But this week, as everybody probably saw, the team run out and had the new helmets on their heads, and on the sidelines they were wearing those state of Florida shirts and hats and things like that. So we will be having the mini helmets of those awesome helmets. Should be within a week. And then we've already got the state sideline shirts, the Adidas state sideline shirts, and the Adidas hats already in the store. Nice.
Yeah, those hats are awesome. My head is too big for those hats, which sucks about having a big head. So annoying. Yeah, so this is a question that I've had, and I know some other people have. You always seem to be the only one that has the stuff that athletics is wearing and kind of that inside track. How did you? What is that? How do you? You have a source inside athletics?
Well, I mean, one thing that helps is that before I owned the store, I was a fan. So I've been to every home game in history or whatever. So I'm a fan, and so I kind of get things that I know I would want to get. And then the other thing is they always let me, because I'm licensed and approved and everything, I always get the heads up. I had known about those helmets probably for a couple months, and the sideline shirts and hats. They call me and they tell me this is what we're going to be doing. And then they swear me to secrecy so I'm not on any message boards saying what's going to happen or anything.
Yeah.
And so it gives me time to, I immediately, once they told me about the helmets, I immediately contacted the right people. And of course, all that stuff still has to be approved, so it takes a little while.
Yeah.
But I immediately put in an order for mini helmets. I'm pretty confident that we'll be the only ones that have them.
Yeah.
So
definitely put one aside for me,
works.
because I'll definitely be stopping by.
Absolutely, I'll be putting myself one aside as well.
Well, Mark, I mean, we definitely appreciate the time you've given us, and we're glad you're there. We're glad you're open to help support Owl Nation, and glad we could kind of get an insider's look on the impact the Miami game had. So thanks for stopping by.
I appreciate it. I would just like to thank everyone that's been so supportive. I mean, literally, that's what makes this go. If people aren't over there supporting, this wouldn't be happening. So thank you to everyone that really is out there trying to help us survive so that we can get to that next level. We couldn't do it without everybody that's listening right now.
Yeah. So thanks again, and have a great night.
All right. Thank you.
So we're going to kind of dig into the actual game now. So there were some bright spots. There were some dark spots. A little disappointing in certain areas. But I think the toughest thing is losing your starting quarterback on the first or second drive. And Jason Driscoll, the redshirt sophomore, came in, was pretty – I think he held his own, especially in the beginning of the game. The first throw, I wasn't very high on him coming into the game. I in the spring practices that I had seen, he never really impressed me much. But right out of the gate, I mean, he impressed me. There was, I think, one of his first or second throws, I think we were on the left hash mark, and he threw all the way across the field to the right sideline, and it was a bullet, and it was on target for a first down. So I was like, all right, let's see what he can do. He performed pretty well. I think Miami made some adjustments, and that changed the game. But he was 17 for 30 for 155 yards with a touchdown and 2 picks. I thought he held up. For his first collegiate game, his first collegiate game overall, in a game of this magnitude, I think he held up all right.
He did do very well. He definitely impressed me. You said he was a redshirt sophomore. He's a redshirt freshman.
Oh, sorry. I meant freshman.
But like you said, Miami made those adjustments and started to pressure him, and he started to make mistakes that you can't make in this type of game. He made some bad throws, which resulted in those interceptions. He maybe should take off running instead of trying to stay in the pocket a little bit longer than necessary. But, I mean, it's going to be interesting. He's can run offense. So it's going to be an interesting competition coming down the line. But, I mean, like you said, losing Quez hurt us. It brings a different dynamic to the game. I mean, and Coach Partridge said in his presser, Quez is going to be a game-time decision Saturday. So,
yeah, I definitely think Quez gives us our best opportunity to win. I just like that style of offense that we have when Quez is in there. That being said, Jason, I mean, you can't say enough. His very first college football game against University of Miami, which is the biggest game in Florida Atlantic history. And he goes out there and he keeps us in the game. So you can't say enough about that. Good for him. We're proud of him. But, when UM made the adjustments at halftime, you can tell that their talent was just able to take over. So I think we should, reel back the reins a little bit where people are saying that Jason gives us the best opportunity to win. I think we best he learns behind Quez for a bit longer, fine-tunes his running game, his pocket presence. But, I mean, he has the cannon. He has the accuracy, and that was a very pleasant surprise to see.
Yeah. So I think, QB, and like you said, Quez just gives us a different dynamic, and I think would give us continuously the best chance to win because he gives us a different dynamic in the running game that I don't think Jason quite does. And speaking of the running game, still some problems. It's a bummer that Jay Warren got injured, and it seemed like he got walloped pretty good. So hopefully he's able to come back. But fumbled again. Buddy Howell fumbled again. And what bothers me about these fumbles is it's not like somebody running up from behind and punching the ball out from behind. I mean, it's like head on. You're running through traffic. You're running up the middle. Hold on to the ball. I mean, it's just – and that comes back to coaching. And there was against Tulsa – there was a play where the ball kind of got knocked around and he held on to it. And I was like, all right, maybe we're gonna have some improvements. And then he ran the ball right up the middle, fell down, and the ball came out. I mean, so that was a little disappointing because we were running well. We were running well.
Yeah, Jay Warren had, I think, roughly 150 yards when he got hurt in the second quarter. I don't fault him for fumbling it there when he got lit up. I mean, that was a vicious hit. But, I mean, the turnovers besides that one, you're absolutely right, Dan. They were quite concerning.
And I mentioned it last week. You had to play perfect versus Miami. Jensen Stoshak, Dan, you talked about before, we started. He back there returning, the punt. He went after that one. As soon as I saw Jensen running out towards that ball, I was like, no, please. And it was like he muffed it, and Miami was right there on top of it. I was like, you have every punt returner, unless he was Lucky Whitehead and reincarnated on FAU, he should have just let the ball bounce. If we would have been down at the 1, fine. We would have taken it at the 1 yard line and started our offense from there.
We would have gone 99 yards for the touchdown.
Yeah.
Or
that's
let the ball go. I mean, that's the only thing.
It's a stupid mistake that a senior shouldn't make. And I don't know why he was returning punts, but one of the things, and we'll kind of move on to this, kind of heads us into Buffalo, is one of the things that's nice is you've seen Coach Partridge. He was in this week's presser, said it's time for the team to grow up. The vibe I got out of his presser on Monday was like, we have to win now. And a lot of the complaints and the heat that people talk about Coach Partridge is that he's like a car salesman. He's been selling us this, win today. We're gonna do this. We're gonna do this. We need you. And then the team, doesn't perform. And this was kind of the first time that I think his mood kind of changed, and that it was like and I think he's probably tired of it. It is like and I tweeted this after the game. It's like, I'm so tired of not living up to the hype. We haven't had a game where we've been super hyped up and we've been able to meet that expectation. We always fall flat on our face, whether it's the FIU game, whether it was I'm trying to think of one of the home games last year, but those type of we can't sustain that type of hype, and I think we hopefully see a change in Coach Partridge and in the team, and saying, we have the talent, we're good enough, we're gonna make it happen somehow.
Crayfon tweeted or said something on Facebook today. I think it was on Twitter. I saw it. He said he said, I'm tired of us beating ourselves. He said something along those lines. He said, I'm tired of beating ourselves. And that's basically what he's calling out the whole team, basically, ourselves. And this is a senior leader. He's a captain. He's basically saying, we need to perform. The coaches are doing their jobs. We as players need to perform on the field.
Yeah. So I think there's a couple things Buffalo does really well. Their offense is they've got I think their quarterback Joe Licata is a 4-year starter. I think I read that. And their running back, they're gonna have a pretty decent passing game and a pretty decent running game.
Yeah, you can't say enough about Joe Licata. I mean, going into the season, he was one of the best quarterbacks out of the Group of 5 conferences. Last week at Beaver Stadium at Penn State, he went 24 and 35 for over 200 yards. That's not an easy thing to do at Penn State. We can't say enough about Lance Leopold coaching Wisconsin Whitewater for all those national championships at the D3 level. Say he went by the D3 level, but he has more national championships and he had losses there.
Yeah.
So, and his teams are based upon defense. So when it comes to Buffalo, it's basically your normal MAC team where they're going to overpower you, big line, strong defense, a little bit young on defense, but still strong, still solid. And they're not worried to smack the ball or smack you right in the face and run the ball right down your throat. They have a couple really good running backs, actually, Anthony Taylor and Jordan Johnson. Anthony Taylor already has about 200 yards on the season, 2 games in. And, despite them being kind of a normal MAC team where they are big, they have a lot of athletes like Marcus McGill, wide receiver, and a really tall receiver, Ron Willoughby. I think he's like 6'3", 6'4", really big guy. Already caught a touchdown this year. You can expect him in a red zone situation in which they're 100% so far on the season, punching it in, doing a couple of jump balls over one of our short corners. So again, generic MAC, or not generic, your normal MAC team where they are very strong, but they have lots of athletes, and they're pretty strong offensively.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. Is they are, I think it was 8 for 8 in the red zone, so that's something to keep an eye out when they get to the red zone. Can we keep them from scoring? And that's something to keep an eye out. And I think our advantage in most places is going to come on offense. Defense, we're just hopefully we can keep them from scoring more points than us. Obviously, that's the point of the game. But offense is going to be how we're going to win the game. Defense is going to have to hold on for dear life and hope that the offense can score more points.
Exactly right. I mean, like we said, Johnson's a game-time decision. Warren's going to be game-time decision. So, Jackie mentioned it before we started. It may be a chip on the part of Partridge trying to keep who's his starting quarterback's going to be quiet because they got to evaluate. But, I mean, I'm expecting a shootout in Boca Raton come Saturday because Buffalo's good. I mean, they look like a team that could be probably playing down here in December.
Well, I don't know. Their first game they played Albany. Is it Albany State?
Albany, yeah. Great Danes, I believe, is what Albany is. Yeah.
And Buffalo, they're the Bills, right? Or they're the Buffalo Buffaloes? Is that who we're playing? So I don't know. I mean, it's not. I wouldn't talk them up as much like they're going to be really, really good. This is FAU we're talking about. So any game where we should win, we're not very good at putting teams away and winning the games that we should. So hopefully there's a decent crowd. Hopefully some people are going to come back that came last week. It's good. It's Saturday. It's a noon kickoff. It's nationally televised. I don't know on what channel, but I know it's nationally televised, and that's why it's
the American Sports Network. So it's
That's a pretty. I mean, I like that because you can stream it online. So I mean, it's pretty solid coverage. So
tweet it out. Come join us in the heat again.
Yeah, hopefully they will. I'm glad my tickets are in the Hyundai deck, so I can just go down below and be in the shade. But
and hopefully we can use that heat to our advantage. They do have some players from Florida, but I mean, still, you're up there in upstate New York. You're kind of used to the cold for a bit. So hopefully we can use that high noon, South Florida sun to our advantage. But I'm right there with Aaron. I think Buffalo is a pretty solid team. I mean, they only lost to Penn State by 13.
Yeah.
If it's a shootout, I like our chances. If they're able to hold on to our offense, I think, we're going to have to be pretty worried about what they can do.
I'm always worried. I show up to the game and I'm worried.
I still have us by 7,
Okay.
But it's, I'm concerned if it's a low-scoring game.
Yeah. Well, I think that about wraps everything up. Thanks again for Mark for joining us. We appreciate him coming on and everything he's doing for us. So for Aaron and Jack, I'm Dan. Make sure to check us out on Twitter at Inside the Burrow. You can always email us, InsideTheBurrow1961 at Gmail, and also for everything game day, everything FAU, check out FAUOwlsNest.com. So we'll see you next time, and go Owls.
Owls.
Go Owls. See you all at the Rat's Mouth.